In the shadow of the jagged mountains there lay a kingdom cloaked in fear, ruled by the iron fist of King Alaric. His name was a whisper on the wind, a curse muttered in darkened homes. Alaric wasn't known for his wisdom or his wealth, but for the chilling spectacle he devised to entertain his sycophantic court, the Bear Pit. This wasn't just a pit. It was a grand, cold stone arena, a circle of despair carved into the very heart of his fortress. From his gilded throne, perched high above the sand-stained floor, the king would watch, his eyes glittering with a predatory light as the crowd roared for blood. His courtiers, draped in silks and jewels, would feast and laugh, their cheers echoing off the stone walls, a symphony of cruelty conducted by their master. Tonight the air was thick with anticipation, heavy with the scent of roasted meats and spilled wine. The torches cast long, dancing shadows, making the faces in the crowd look like grotesque masks. Down below, a heavy iron gate groaned open, and a figure was shoved violently into the arena. He was a prisoner, though his crime was of little consequence. Perhaps he stole bread to feed his family, or spoke a word out of turn. In Alaric's kingdom, any transgression could lead here. The man was gaunt, his clothes little more than rags, but his eyes held a defiant spark that hadn't yet been extinguished. He stood alone in the center, the silence of the vast space pressing in on him. The crowd hushed, their drunken revelry turning into a hungry, collective stare. They knew what was coming next. From the opposite side of the arena, another gate, larger and reinforced with thick iron bars, began to rise. A low growl rumbled from the darkness within, a sound that seemed to vibrate through the very stone of the arena. Then it emerged. It was a grizzly bear of monstrous proportions, larger than any man had ever seen. Its fur was a matted tapestry of brown and black, crisscrossed with the silvery lines of old scars. One of its eyes was milky white, a testament to a past battle. This was no ordinary animal. This was the king's champion, a beast as cruel and battle-hardened as Alaric himself. It lumbered into the torchlight, its massive head swinging from side to side, sniffing the air. Its gaze, full of ancient, primal fury, locked onto the lone figure in the center. The crowd erupted, a wave of savage delight. For them, the sport was about to begin. The prisoner was just meat, a brief, bloody distraction from their gilded, empty lives. The prisoner's heart hammered against his ribs, a frantic drumbeat against the bear's low growl. He had no weapon, only his wits and a desperate will to live. The bear took a step, then another, its claws clicking on the stone floor. It was a predator testing its prey, savoring the moment. The man didn't run. He couldn't. Instead, he stood his ground, his gaze fixed on the creature. He had spent his life in the forests bordering the kingdom, a hunter and a trapper before his capture. He knew animals. He knew their language, their fear, and their fury. He saw past the snarling monster the crowd saw. He saw an old warrior, a fellow prisoner trapped in Alaric's cruel game. Slowly, deliberately, the man lowered himself to one knee. He held out an open, empty hand, a gesture not of surrender, but of understanding. The bear paused. Its growl softened, replaced by a confused, guttural huff. It tilted its massive head, the one good eye studying the man. This was not the reaction it expected. Men always screamed. They always ran. This one was different. The crowd grew restless, their bloodlust turning to confusion, then annoyance. "Fight," a courtier screamed. "Kill him." Another slurred, throwing a piece of bread into the pit. The bear ignored them. It took another slow step forward, its nose twitching. The man remained perfectly still, his hand outstretched, his eyes never leaving the bear's. He spoke, his voice low and steady, not in the language of men, but in a series of soft clicks and whistles, the calls he used to calm his own hunting dogs. It was a language of peace, a sound from the wild that the bear understood deep in its bones. A strange and sacred silence fell over the arena. Even King Alaric leaned forward, his brow furrowed. The massive grizzly lowered its head, its wet nose almost touching the prisoner's fingers. For a breathtaking moment, two captives in a cage of stone shared a connection that no one in the stands could comprehend. The bear let out a soft whine, a sound of ancient weariness. It was old, tired of the fighting, tired of the cage. The man slowly retracted his hand and rose to his feet. The bear did not attack. Instead, it turned its broad back to him and lumbered over to the far wall of the pit, where it slumped down onto the sand, a mountain of fur and sorrow, refusing to participate in the charade any longer. The prisoner was left standing alone, alive, in the center of the silent arena. The crowd was stunned into silence. This was not the entertainment they were promised. Their confusion quickly curdled into anger. They booed and hissed, their jeers echoing in the sudden quiet. They felt cheated. But up on his throne, King Alaric was not angry. He was intrigued. He had seen power before, the power of the sword, the power of fear, but this was something else. A power he couldn't grasp. He had witnessed a man tame his untamable beast, not with force, but with something far more potent. The prisoner hadn't won a fight. He had won a will. He had exposed the king's spectacle for what it was, a hollow display, a fragile illusion of control. The king stared down at the man, a cold, calculating look in his eyes. That night, the prisoner was not returned to his cell. He was summoned to the king's chambers. Alaric, stripped of his crown and royal robes, looked almost ordinary. He offered the man wine, food, a place by the fire. "How did you do it?" the king asked, his voice devoid of its usual booming authority. "It's a simple thing, Your Majesty," the prisoner replied, his voice calm. "The bear and I are the same. We are both creatures you trapped for your own amusement. I did not see a monster. I saw a brother." The king was silent for a long time, the firelight playing across his face, revealing lines of thought the court never saw. He saw that the prisoner's power was not in his hands, but in his perspective. It was a power that could not be beaten, caged, or broken. The legend of King Alaric and the bear tamer spread throughout the kingdom. It was a story told not of a bloody battle, but of a quiet victory. The bear pit was used less and less, its stone circle a monument to the day a king's power was challenged not by an army, but by an act of empathy. The story served as a chilling reminder that true strength isn't found in cruelty or domination. It lies in understanding, in connection, and in the recognition that even the most fearsome monster might just be another soul trapped in a cage, waiting for someone to see past the scars. The prisoner's fate remains a mystery. Some say the king, fearing his unique power, had him quietly executed. Others whisper that Alaric, forever changed by the encounter, secretly set him free, and that the man returned to the forest, a quiet guardian of the wild. But the lesson remained, etched into the memory of the kingdom, that the most savage beast is not always the one with claws and teeth. Sometimes it's the one wearing a crown. Thank you for watching. If you were captivated by this legend, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another story from the depths of history and myth. We'll see you next time.